So many people are inboxing me, sending me messages with their questions about VR, so I thought I'd make a video to emphasize what you should have known or what people don't tell you about VR before you buy. It's getting more and more popular, and I kind of feel that. Like you starting to see more experiments like Jack Walmart from Disrupt VR. Right now he's on Twitch spending 24 hours, actually 24/7 in VR for a week straight. That's eating, drinking, exercising, showering, defecating, that's everything. He's not the first, he's not going to be the last, but it's always interesting to see, what challenges people face by wearing, I guess, augmented devices, VR devices all day. Things like HoloLens and the HoloLens 2 are a little bit more suitable for consecutive wearing, but at the HoloLens 2 price of $3,500, that's not for me. That's probably not for you. I don't know, maybe it is. That's right up your price range. But before you go Jack and go full Matrix, here's some things you should know that no one told you about VR. I think the first thing I want to say is spatial awareness. You need space in order to play in VR, right? You need to have enough room to maneuver around your surroundings and not have to worry about anything, right? You make wide strokes, you're going to disorient yourself. So you need to find a place where you're going to be able to play and not really slam your hand on the desk when you go to raise it really quickly. Get yourself a mat to stand on too, because that really, really helps to orient yourself in VR. Number two, I'd say get additional sensors, because if you're going to be spinning around, right, if you're doing something creatively and the machine is right in front of you, you're not really going to move around much. But if you're playing an action first-person shooter, or you're inside an immersive puzzler, you're going to want to be able to explore the space around you and not have to kind of use the controllers to orient yourself. So invest in that third or maybe even that fourth sensor if your machine can handle it. It's with the Quest or Magic Leap, it's not really going to be much of a big deal, but if you're going to want to play something a little bit more high-end, you're going to need to have a tethered machine. So sensors will help track all the way around, but with kind of those standalone Daydream devices, Oculus Quest devices, you're not going to need to do that, but kind of figure out what you need to play. Number three, you don't need to stand in VR the entire time. Like, that's something that people didn't tell me, but it's something you always see at the conventions and when you go to people's houses. They have the little VR space and they're standing in the center of it. Get yourself a bar stool, find a nice seat, like a comfy gamer couch. If you're doing something casual like creating, you don't need to be standing up. You don't need to, you might want to still make sure you've got enough space around you, but standing up is not a necessity. Number four, VR can be run on a laptop. I'm talking to you right now from a laptop. I went to Oculus Rift's VR competition. They were running things on laptops there. Laptops are pretty powerful. So it's all in what you want to learn to do that will determine the device that you need and the sensors or lack of sensors you need to buy to support it, and how much space exactly you're going to need to lay out. So just figure out a use case for it before you go. Number five, being in VR is kind of an isolated experience, right? Social apps are popular, but don't plan on being joined by many people in multiplayer experiences, right? For you, focus on a single player experience and try to make friends to play with outside of VR, because if you're waiting for random people to join you in the queue for any multiplayer game that you bought because it sounds fun, you might be waiting for a while. Number six, with that said, the community is very, very open and very friendly. If you had a game you liked, but it wasn't really traffic, you'd be trying to pull people into that game. A lot of that's going on with a lot of the app experiences right now. People want to share it with people. Developers want to get people into their experiences. So they'll go out of their way to tell you how it works, to share with you the secret nuances of it. The community is very warm and friendly, mostly, right? Because it's small and niche and you can meet and join people and feel included. VR hasn't hit that critical mass yet, but there are certain corners of it like VR chat where you'll find some awesome community experiences there, but that's kind of more of the awful 4chan internet experience. Number seven, audio makes the experience. Sound design and spatial audio is key. It's not really a problem for Oculus because they have it built in, but in devices like the Vive, where you can put in a separate headphone, I would say invest in that, because immersion is not just visual, immersion is audio as well. So if you're not really getting the audio experience, you're missing out on half of what it is to be inside VR. Number 8, pretty important, prepare in real life. That means, pushing furniture out of the way so you don't hit it if you need to create that buffer. Keep a trash bin nearby in case you get nauseous. Also, make sure that you're setting up some sort of boundary for like your roommate or people walking past you, and that they're like well aware. Make sure you stretch. It's really important. Like just playing a casual game, I sweat, I get kind of tired moving around too much. It's a very physical activity. You're going to sweat, you're going to perspire. I would say, do a little stretch or some aerobics before you hop into VR. It can't hurt. Number 9, you can still do desktop and 2D experiences in VR. I've played 2D console games inside a headset. I've sent emails from inside VR. Just because you're in VR doesn't mean you can't do the things that you want to do. Quite the contrary. If you're someone with like one monitor setup, there's certain apps you can go inside and have multiple monitors. So you can be watching the YouTube videos up on the side, reading email threads on the other side, and browsing social media on the third window. You can still do everything in VR that you can do on a traditional computer. It's just a little bit more customizable in here. Lastly, I'd say prepare to sweat. That goes back to, prepare IRL, but like you're definitely going to be sweating inside VR. There are exercise apps just specifically meant to make you sweat, but games requiring physical movement to shoot and find people and duck behind stuff will also make you sweat. Just remember, you're doing full body movement, right? So I wouldn't say, hop into VR before you go to like a family fancy dinner, right? Because you might be a little perspiring underneath. With that said, you might want to invest in some buffers if you're going to be letting people play. They make filters for the masks. I have 2 cushions for the mask. The one that I have right now is like meant for sweating. It doesn't really soak into the cushion, which is kind of gross, freaks me out. But the lens fogs as well. So you might want to think about getting a defogging spray or like wipes on it, because it's going to get muggy in here. It's like not really much ventilation, and that's on purpose because any light coming through will take you out the immersion experience. So these are just kind of quick 10 tips that I pulled from Quora and people have sent me asking about. So let me know if these helped you. Let me know if you want to know something else. I am here to help you all enter VR effortlessly. So if you have any questions, leave them in the comment below. As normal, like, subscribe, share. You made it this long in the video, why the hell not? As typical, I don't know how to sign off. I'm just going to end it. Thanks for watching. Bye.